Welcome, 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 everybody, back to the Off the Cuff podcast. I am Anthony. Everybody calls me AB, and this is my good friend, the neuroscience guru herself, Miss Joy.
Hi, everybody. It's Joy Winchester. We're going to dive into some hot topics tonight. And
Ooh, I
again,
think we got one today. Ooh,
it's
I think
just
we're going to
off
step
the
on some
cuff.
toes. We're going to
Oh,
step on
yeah.
some toes today.
Well,
Yeah.
good, because you only grow when you're uncomfortable. So, you know
Ooh,
what?
ooh.
If everybody agreed with everything we said, we wouldn't be making a difference.
That's a great point, Joy. That's a
There you
great
go.
point.
There
By
you
the
go.
way, Joy, I want to be like you when I grow up. All right, here we go. Are you ready for this? So today's topic is punishment versus consequences. Now, Joy, I don't know about you, but like when I was growing up, punishment meant something totally different for me. You don't understand. My mother was the one that did most of it. I don't know about you, but I got spankings. And back in the day, we call them whoopings. There was no time out, none of that stuff, grounded, none of that. It's like, go get me a switch, an extension cord, or some flip flop, or some. You're getting ready to get spanked or whooped or whatever. My mom would say things, Joy, that just totally blew my mind. Like I remember my mother said something like, "Wait until your daddy gets home," and I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" Wait, let me give your daddy a call. Stuff like that would totally freak me out. I remember going in my bedroom when she said it and just started packing a suitcase. Like, yeah, I'm not going to be at home when that guy gets. I'm not going to be there when he gets back, man. But I will say that my father did such a great job because I never wanted to do anything. I never wanted to do anything wrong. When she would say that, I was like, man, that's enough for me. But the question is, was that building character, or did that kind of was it more of a controlling thing? What do you think, Joy?
Well, I think we all, have our stories, right? And one of the things I love to remind people of is speeding. Okay. A ticket is a punishment. Okay. But here's the deal. If you got a speeding ticket, how many people really stop speeding after? It's actually not a lot. It's like 0.004% of the population. A speeding ticket means something, but it's a punishment. So here's the question. You're driving down the road, you see a cop coming. What do? Slow down.
Absolutely.
When that cop goes on by, what do?
Speed up,
right? Yeah. And this is where we know that we will behave as long as the fear trigger is there. Now, I'll challenge you to say, what positives did you have in your life that were maybe not in our kids' lives today? What positives were there with your mother and your father? Yeah. And that where was the actual discipline? You see, punishment doesn't really change behavior. It just makes us better at not getting caught. A lot of us had amazing discipline in our families with punishment. What I see now, and I think what you see is too, is we have a lot of punishment, but not a lot of discipline. We have a lot of people handing down harsh infractions, but not a lot of discipline. Let me ask you this question. I was thinking about this morning. If they really wanted us to stop speeding, why? I'm tracked on my phone, right? Why would they not just track me? And every time I go 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, I get $10 deducted from my checking account. And at the end of the month or at the end of the week, I get a little email that says, Joy, you sped this many times, you have this much money out of your checking account. Would I speed?
I don't think so.
I wouldn't. Now, do I speed now with the looming threat of a $300 ticket? Yeah, because there's a really good chance I'm not going to get caught. But the question arises, would a $10 charge, a tiny charge done consistently, right, change my actual behavior versus a random $300 charge,
right,
that I might outrun?
Right. Well, it's the craziest thing that you mentioned that, because I was talking a similar analogy today, because I was telling my students, I said, hey, man, I'm going to be on this podcast tonight. and the subject matter is going to be consequences versus punishment. And I started talking to them about that, and I used the analogy of the police officer in a different way. I did say, do you obey a police officer because he or she is a human being? Or do you obey a police officer because he or she has the power of that badge? And they always like, yeah, if you didn't have a badge on, yeah, free game,
Yeah.
man, free game. But one of the things when I asked them the question, I was like, so what do you think the difference in punishment and consequences are? Because, I mean, if you really look at what punishment is, it is a consequence of something. But they were like, no, punishment is bad. Punishment is bad. But when I said, what about a consequence? They were like, well, no. Consequence, and they're always going to jail with it. They were like, no, consequence is like jail. You can get over that. Punishment is like prison. That's what they said. It was like, oh man, are you serious? How does that work? But really, Joy, they made a great point, because when you think about punishment, it has a negative connotation. You think that this is something I'm bad, or I've done something so bad that I personally need to be, this is something I'm just a bad. But when you think about consequences, it's like consequences almost allow you to think. You know, when I tell my students, I teach them consequences all the time. I'm like, hey man, look, I don't hate you. I'm like a computer. I don't love you. I don't hate you. You put it in, that's what you get out, basically. So what I was saying to them is, hey man, it's not personal. These are the rules that we have to abide by. And if you go outside of the rules, oh man, now you got to do this. Now you got sentences. Oh, now you got to go mop the gym. Oh man, now you got to do this or do that. So this is a consequence of it. And I've noticed over the years that they are more prone to receive a consequence if put in the package of your responsibility, your decisions, a result of, rather than punishment. Hey man, let me tell you something. And they were very enlightening when they said it. I was like, hey man, this is great. I'm going to use it on the show tonight. What do you think, Joy?
Yeah, I think it's perfect. I mean, punishment pushes us to a victim mindset, right? It's what's done to me. I make excuses. I blame others. It was their fault. They did this to me. Consequences pushes us to an empowered mindset where I learn, I accept reality. I acknowledge my role in it. I make solutions. I push forward. You see, consequences are amazing. If I eat a lot of junk food and don't work out, there's some consequences, right? If I work out every day and I eat healthy, there's some consequences. They're positive. See, life is full of positive and negative consequences depending on your actions. You're empowered. You have power. Now, I am all about consequences because, hey, look, if I don't pay my power bill, the consequence is I'm going to lose power, plain and simple. And I think we have to be honest with kids to say, listen, if you're an adult and you sell drugs, they're going to put you in jail. That's a crime. That's the time. But I do work with inmates. What we do know is that dirt don't clean dirt. Punishment doesn't give you any skills not to reoffend or to stay clean, if you know what I'm saying. Punishment keeps you in this victim mindset. It's a hierarchy. It's a push down. And so consequences, when you put a consequence in play, it's given with the intent to teach. And I love what you said too. You learn from it. You see, I can't learn from a punishment. I can learn from a consequence. What I learn from a punishment, and what we'll jump on our next podcast about, is what punishment actually wires our brain to do.
Oh, good.
Consequences teach us, and it actually opens up this top part of our thinking brain so we can actually, guess what? Make smarter choices, be wiser. Look, we all have, if we sat down and talked about it, what were the consequences of some of your most stupidest actions? And you know what? Most of them are natural.
Yeah.
Most of them are natural consequences. They weren't ones imposed on us. Now, I'm not saying we don't impose. Don't meet me in the parking lot. What I'm saying is life has a way of teaching.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we joke, we say you give the advice they need and let reality proceed.
There it is.
Life has a way of teaching, and consequences teach. So your students were spot on.
Absolutely.
And they, of course, the ones you work with are fascinating because they have been in a system of punishment.
Absolutely.
They understand. And if they didn't have people like you, they would probably be still living in that system. And that's one of the hardest things, knowing you so well, is getting their minds out of that system of punishment. When I work with inmates and they're going to be into the reentry, getting them out of being institutionalized.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, getting them we trust you to move forward. That's consequences.
Absolutely.
So look, while you're in prison doing your time, that's your punishment.
Yeah.
But now your consequence while you're there is, how are you making yourself better so you don't reoffend? Hey, you got a minute? Because that's all the average American has is 1 minute. Our attention spans are so short that we really don't have time to focus on anything else. But here's what's crazy. We know more about how our cell phones work than our brains work. But who has time to dive deep into neuroscience? You do. 1 minute a day. Dive in. Just, hey, you got a minute. Neuro Minutes to Microdose Neuroscience. Grab a copy. Change your life 1 minute a day.
And go and get the book. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, you know, Joy, that's so good that you said that. But what we tend to do on our show is not leave our friends, I don't even call them an audience, our friends at a place of just talking about the situation. We want to give some solutions or some strategies or some techniques that they can use. One of the things, if we're going to use consequences, because I think the argument is very fair when it comes to punishment being negative in its connotation, and then consequences being something that's a thought.
Yes.
The power goes back to you. You have the power. This is your decision. Now, it may be a decision that I disagree with or agree with, but this is your decision. It empowers the individual, whether it be a young person or whether it be someone young at heart. I've noticed it as well with adults. So when consequences are given, I think that one of the best strategies is to get to a point where they make the decision. And what I use is my facial expression. I try not to be as disappointed in my face, like, oh man, but I try not to get, oh man, so that's the decision that you made, huh? Well, you know, it's not the end of the world. We can still come back from it. So what that usually tends to do is empower the young person or the young at heart to say, hey, I can do this again, and I can choose a different outcome, or I could choose a different approach that would get and garner a different outcome. So I think that the one thing that I would say is enter this thing not making it personal, and guiding rather than just directing. I'm going to tell you to do this. No. I want to guide you to the right decisions, and hopefully we can make the better decisions together. You know,
100%. They need to be related to the crime. Right? Make it related. So if they destroy the school, then the consequences, you're cleaning up the school. If they punch the wall, the consequences, you're fixing the wall, or you're earning money to fix the wall. You see what I'm saying? It's got to be respectful. And when I say respectful, I heard the eyes rolling all across America. When I say respectful, it means given with the intent to teach, not to shame. Because if that's the thing, it's I'm doing this to you, I'm giving this to you to teach that this decision you made, I'm doing a logical consequence. It's got to be related to the crime. It's got to be given with the intent to teach. So we call it respectful. And it's got to be relevant. In other words, to the kid. In other words, can the kid do it? So if the child is being bad on their the day before their birthday in Walmart, you can't take away their birthday. And I've heard it. I was in Walmart. A kid was screaming, and the mother said, "If you do it again, you're going to lose your birthday." And the little boy said, "I'll be 5 forever." No, you're not going to be 5 forever. So you don't want to make sure it's able to be done by them. Yeah. You know, sometimes we get so caught up. I'm going to tell you right now, 100%, Anthony. Consequences are hard to give. Punishments are easy. Consequences change the brain. Punishment changes the behavior short term. Consequence changes the brain long term. Anyone can train a dog. Anyone can do punishment. Consequences require us as the adult to be calm, think about this kid, think about what we want them to learn, take that breath, pause, and then push it down. And if that means the consequence comes an hour or 2 hours later, that is completely fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be given in the moment if it takes you time to process your emotions, especially if your kid has done something really stupid.
Yes. Yes. What I've done in the past is I've always went after their will rather than destroying their spirit.
Of course. Yes.
And I think sometimes we get so emotional and we get into the moment and we attempt to do something good and it just comes out the wrong way because our I don't know, our adrenaline is there, our emotions are involved, and we want so bad for this individual to do better. And so we tend to go at it a different way. And sometimes we do things that we learn that may not have been the best strategies altogether. So when I say tear down a will, this is what they want to do. Let me guide them in why that may not be a good idea.
Right.
To destroy a person's spirit, now that can be traumatic. You're stupid.
Yep.
You're going to be just like this person. You're going to be just like that person. You're never going to make it. This is why you never do anything right. If we can ever get away from that personal side and get into the decision-making side, the empowering side, then man, we'll have a lot better outcomes.
You know, a lot of us have really bad negative self-talk, and they say how you talk to yourself is how you punish your children, which becomes their internal thought as they grow up.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what you said. We teach them, we write on their brains how they're going to think about themselves. How are they going to think about failure? I want my kids to know, my personal children, the children I work with, failure is just a way to learn. It's an opportunity to learn. You learn more when you fail. So it's just an opportunity to learn. Right. And I think that's where we want our kids to have that growth mindset, that empowered mindset, because the world is different. But I love what you said, too. When I work with inmates with parenting classes, they are very harsh with their children on the phone. It's not from a place of not loving them. It's from a place of fear that they don't want them to end up where they are. Absolutely. And so they come so harsh. But what they're actually doing is pushing those children to the same system, because the same inner dialogue that got them there, they're putting in their kids, and that's going to get their kids there.
Absolutely. And if it's like any other kid that I would know, they're going to say, well, you did it.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to do what you do, and rarely what you say.
100%. And I think this is where, again, the challenge for us as adults is we have to model the person we want them to be. And so when I have to give out consequences, and I'm very strict. I'm very strict with the kids I work with. But you know what I find? It creates safety because I'm predictable. It's like those $10 little fines that if they really did want us to stop speeding, there's ways they could make us all stop speeding, right? And they could probably get a lot more money. But these big giant tickets, and I think that's what I look at with punishment. Punishments are these big giant tickets that kind of make this big blow. Yeah. But discipline are these little $10 micro changes. And I'm telling you, if I had a little $10 taken out every time I went over the speed limit, I'd be the slowest driver out there because I'm cheap. I might like speed, but I'm cheap.
And you know, Joy, it's kind of like a backwards incentive program when you think about it. If we could teach it the right way, then it's really paralleled. It's the equivalent to someday having a career and going to work every day. And at the end of the week, you get a paycheck. Do this, you receive this. Do this, you receive this. You have the power. You are the boss. You are the person with the power of decision. And decision is the essence and foundation of everything else that we have.
And a lot of people may hear what you're saying and say, well, I don't want my kid to have the power. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because they're going to be alone with another peer. And a big decision is going to come their way. Do I try this drug? Do I have sex with this boy? Do I speed with this friend telling me to drive faster and faster, knowing it's dangerous because I'm chasing that adrenaline with the peer beside me? There are going to come times when you will not be there
Absolutely.
to hold their hand, and those decisions will come, and they'll be life-changing decisions. The only way they're going to get through those is they have had thousands of opportunities to learn from mistakes,
Right.
thousands of opportunities to be trusted before, thousands of opportunities to be empowered in little ways. So when these big monumental decisions come, you're not ending up with a teen pregnancy, a teen who's OD'd, a teen who might be contemplating suicide because they feel like they're stuck, or even, and I hate to throw this out there, but you know it's there, a teen with so much anxiety because they can never be perfect because they think that's what their parents want.
Yeah.
We've got to build this in them. We've got to give them. We can't keep preparing the path for them. We have to prepare them for the path, and that means trusting them, giving them consequences, letting them fail, and then watching them rise, dust off, and keep going.
You know what you just said was absolutely perfect. That's why you're the neuro genius. Joy, what you just said was we are trying to build character, not
Yes.
robots.
Right.
You know, we live in a world of robots, but
Yes.
we know that someday they're not going to have mama, daddy, sister, brother, cousin, uncle with them. And they've got to be able to make those decisions and be empowered enough to make those decisions when we're not around. So, Joy,
last point.
yes.
One more last point. You and I both have seen it, and I bet everyone who's watching this has seen it. How many times have you seen a kid say, "Yes, ma'am, I'll be good," and as soon as that adult turns, they're doing whatever they want? How many of us have seen kids who know exactly how to play adults, exactly how to say what adults want, and then as soon as they step out, they're doing the exact opposite? Anyone can change behavior.
Yeah.
That's training a dog. That's punishment. Consequences takes humans interacting. And a lot of us grew up with more positives in our life, even with the negative punishments, than these kids have today. Look how different their lives are today with technology, with the world pushing in, with their minds going faster than their hearts are able to handle. You keep talking about young at heart. A lot of that is we push so much into them, their little hearts can't develop and can't hold.
Yeah.
In other words, emotionally, what is being bombarded on their brains. So just think about that before you say, if I was that kid, I'd been beaten as a kid. Think about all the positives you had in your life, and also take out all the negatives that these kids have in their life, and understand we've got to start building some skills in these kids that just, they don't have the opportunity to.
Hey, that's the end of our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Now go and change the world one person at a time. And remember, be kind.
And be curious.
And keep showing up.
I wrote a book. Go check it out. Now, the book is called How to Eat an Elephant. And the old adage, of course, is one bite at a time. It's a book about young people and how to work with youth of today. But it's more about you, the adult, the person that cares for the young person, the advocate, the person that works with young people all the time. I want you to check it out.
Finally, a book written by someone who's walked the walk and not only talks the talk. Real talk. Deuces.